For the interest, I'm LaDonna Lockard. I'm back again today with Brandon Treadway with Social Coach Part 2. Brandon, thanks so much for being here.
I'm so happy to be here.
So, wanted to ask you something that I feel like you do exceptionally well with is keeping your authentic voice, even in social media. You have a couple of different channels. You obviously have something that's geared more toward your work at Social Coach, but then you also have something for your own personal interests. What's your recommendation for someone like me where, I'm trying on social, I just don't love it, but I feel like I need to, and I need to find that authentic voice. How do I do that?
So the one of the biggest things that hurts a lot of creators is their inability to be authentic. And this is why I talk so much about consistency because um, consistency is so crucial to kind of getting comfortable with recording yourself, posting those things out there. And the more that you just post, the more that you're creating stuff, the more and more comfortable you'll get on camera, the more comfortable you'll get being your authentic self. I mean, I look at my content from even 4 or 5 months ago and I'm like, my videos feel different, they look different. I feel different in those because I was still kind of trying to figure out how did I want my content to feel? How did I want to look on camera? But now I've gotten to the point where like I don't really care about that stuff anymore. Like I'm just here to, make these videos, talk about social, talk about whatever. And I've gotten to the point where I'm just comfortable. And that comes through repetition. It doesn't come through anything other than just you do it enough to the point where you're like, oh, I'm comfortable doing this. But it's kind of like you just got to work out the kinks over time and you'll find the authenticity. But it's so crucial to do that because people can tell when you're being inauthentic on social media. It's like so clear and apparent through the screen. It's crazy.
I completely agree. Do you buy into posting for algorithm times? Is that something that you believe in, or is it just everyone's on social all the time anyway? What's the point of trying to work within an algorithm?
Okay, so I think there's like two questions at hand here. One
Break
is
them
when's the
apart.
best time? When's the best time to post? And should you post to feed the algorithm? My answer to the first one is anyone who is telling you that there's a specific time that you should post or a best time that you should post is lying to you. There is no best time to post. Everyone's on social 24/7. At least they can't tell you the best time to post. The only person who can decipher that is you. I have found the right times for me to post, and I've seen a difference in my engagement when I post earlier or later than kind of this 1 to 2 hour range that I tend to post in. And that has all come through experience, consistency, posting, seeing my analytics, seeing what times tend to get the better engagement, and essentially bringing that into my strategy. Um, but if I just went and followed, what X website says, like I'm probably going to be posting at a decent time and I'll get some engagement because, like you said, people are kind of just on there all the time. But for the most part, um, yeah, just post when it makes sense. But the second thing is don't post for algorithms, but post for your audience. When you post, you'll find out what your audience is interested in. Continue to post that kind of content that they're engaging with, and you'll find success. Don't worry about what the algorithm's doing. It's important to kind of keep track of what's performing well because that will give you an idea of your audience and the algorithm's approval of what you're creating. But if you can follow what's working, you'll find success.
Do you use any external apps outside of, say, Instagram's internal feeding of what their analytics look like? Do you use something else for TikTok? Do you have another app that you like to use, or do you just rely on the data that you're given within each app?
So I use Social Coach to publish my content, which we have analytics built into the app, so you can see a number of things. We don't have all of the analytics, but if you want to get more granular on a lot of your items, you can go into the app and find those things. For me, when I want to get really specific, like in TikTok, I can see when my audience is online. Like that is in the TikTok app. I can see by hour the kind of like curve of engagement on my posts. Now, while And so I can kind of use that to track, okay, I tend to get a spike. This is true. I usually post between 4:30 and 5:30. Anytime in that range tends to be my sweet spot. And I tend to get a nice bump, and then I see a decrease around 6 to 7. From 8 to 11, it just takes off. Like a good post will take off for me between 8 and 11. Can't explain it. I'm not worried about explaining it. I think that it's mostly people just kind of like, 8 to 11 is this like 3 hour range of people going to bed at 11 o'clock, like from the East Coast down to the West Coast. And I use TikTok when I'm laying in bed. So I'm assuming that's what a lot of people are doing. So
Amazing. Well, I'm sure we could go on and on about this, but we have to keep this in our tight time frame. So we may have to have you back for a part 3. It could
I would love
happen
that.
or we're going to do extended content, maybe on YouTube. So thank you so much again for being here, Brandon, and for the interest. I'm LaDonna Lockard.
For more on these and all of today's top stories, go to nationalmortgageprofessional.com.